Creativity is something that I'm constantly trying to hone in on. It feels like a magic that I can only wield on a full moon. It's powerful one second and the next it's dull. Is it my skill of creativity that's the problem, or is it my social constructs of how I think things are supposed to be? Is it that I allow my fixations and fleeting desires to control me? At one point in my life, I would have told you that creativity is one of the most important attributes of myself. I still feel it's important, but clearly it's not been in the forefront for me. Now, a bit wiser version of myself today, I realize that almost all things in life can really be learned. So today I've kind of decided that I'm going to start prioritizing my creativity and figure out how that works for me. Do I just need to indulge in one of my creative hobbies more? What kind of habits do I need to change? Is my screen time killing my creativity? And what really are my creative goals? I'm currently traveling across the country and my trip is kind of coming to an end soon. On this trip, I really thought that my creativity and creative skills and ideas would all just come flooding to me. A silly thought now that I look back on it. Now I wonder, how can I be intentional about refining and honing in on my creative skill, specifically while I'm traveling still? I'm going to change a few things about my daily life for the next 7 days to see what happens. First, I am going to paint a landscape every day. Second, I am going to practice mindfulness or grounding. Third, I am going to read a book on creativity. Right now I have originals. Fourth, I am going to journal a little bit every day. And fifth, I'm going to cut back on my phone. Now it has been a minute since I have painted with watercolors, and I've never actually been very good at it. But I think it's a lot of fun, and I kind of think it's one of the easier art mediums to get into. Maybe that's not true at all. Now I don't actually know the real technique, so I just kind of wing it every time. I'm starting over because I don't like where I started this. Okay, listen, I know I've never been good at watercolors, but this is legit the worst thing I've ever painted. We'll try again tomorrow. Now I am going to do a meditation. I like to use Insight Timer. I found just a 5-minute grounding relaxation meditation. Let's see. We are in the camper for the night. Now I am going to do a little bit of journaling. I think with this, I just need to write something. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. I think just consistently writing in my notebook. That's what I'm looking for. Getting ideas down, my thoughts. Kind of having the habit, I think, more so. And then I'm hoping it turns into more. Normally it's not this hard for me. I just don't know what to write right now. But I'm just going to start putting words on the paper. Kind of trying to get to a page. Okay, I just wrote a full page in the second half. Maybe I'll do more next time, but so far so good. Okay, I'm looking at my screen time. It looks like today, for example, I spent 2 hours total on social media. And then before that, another 2 hours on social media. Let's see, before that, 2 hours on social media. So I think a good rule of thumb, I know I have rules in place on my phone, the hour 30-minute limit. I'm going to change it to an hour. All right, 1 hour for TikTok and Instagram. But I'm going to try that for now. And if it doesn't work, I'll just delete the apps. So I am reading Originals by Adam Grant. I think that fits into the theme of creativity. How Nonconformists Move the World. I am 50 pages in right now. It's been pretty interesting so far. Traditionally, I have a really hard time reading books that are like this. They're almost like self-help books, or I'm more into like fiction, fantasy, but I'm looking to try new types of books anyways. This is perfect. I actually got this at a bookstore during our travel. I am going to read a little bit here. I don't really know what is measurable, but I feel like I should give myself a number of pages to read per day at least. Let's see how many pages this book is. 254 pages. I'll try and read at least 10 pages a day. I did end up reading a little bit further. The next chapter was like a few pages extra. I feel like it's easier once you kind of just get in the groove. I am liking this book a lot. Day 1 is complete. I really enjoyed the meditation the most. I haven't meditated in a while, and I did like a grounding meditation. It was really peaceful. It was nice to do outside, which I actually don't know if I've ever meditated outside before. It sounds kind of crazy now that I say it out loud. I didn't like the watercolor painting as much as I had remembered. Hopefully it'll grow on me again. Reading and writing, of course, I enjoyed. And then screen time, I guess that didn't officially start. I did change the settings on my phone. I'll make sure to be staying under 1 hour on social media. I'm starting tomorrow. That is enough for me from today. I am gonna go to sleep. See you tomorrow. Okay. Try 2 for painting a landscape. Got my coffee this morning. The sun is shining. I think thinking about it too, this is just not something I would be doing this morning. It's definitely changing my habit. I'm liking that I'm painting rather than just sitting and sipping my coffee. Instead, I'm painting and drinking my coffee this morning. I think a lot of times people get stuck in the idea that they're bad at something, and so they're never going to try it. The amount of times I've heard people say, I'm bad at drawing, and they just accept that. I just don't think anybody's just automatically good at it. I'm sure there's people that see the world a certain way and are able to replicate that maybe into art. Definitely. I feel like we grew up thinking it's this innate thing that some people have, when really they're just kids that picked up a pen and paper and started drawing. Maybe I'm wrong, but. And honestly, like I said before, I don't even need to be good at this. I'm just enjoying looking at the view, trying to figure out how to replicate it somewhat aesthetically on paper, which I'm not succeeding today, but one of these days. All right, day 2 of watercolors complete. I know, I had more fun with this one today. All right, on to the next. So now I am going to do a meditation. I found one on Spotify because I can download it for free on there, and I don't think I'm gonna have service these next few days. I wanna try this out. I really liked the one from yesterday on Insight Timer. We'll give this a try. This is 5-minute grounding and clearing meditation from Everyday Alchemy. I really liked that one. I'm definitely going to be doing that when I don't have service because I can download it easily. I forgot how much I like grounding meditations. That was awesome. Later that evening, when we settled into the camper, I did my reading, and after that, I wrote a page in my journal. Just finished up day 2. I really enjoyed the meditation this morning, and I feel like that's just such a good way to start the day. I think that's something I'm gonna have to carry on. I always get out of the habit of it, but that's something I should just do every day. I also really enjoyed the watercolor painting today. It was just more fun. I let myself not have any ideas about how it was supposed to be. I think that helped. And then I read 10 more pages today. Just did a little bit of writing here. It was a good day. That's it for day 2. For day 3, I kind of saved a lot for the end of the day. We were quite busy all day exploring Goblin Valley and a slot canyon. I read a little bit before dinner, and then I finished my reading later that evening in the camper. I also painted my watercolor in the evening, and I painted a view of our campsite. I think what I meant earlier about watercolors being easier is that they're just easier to grab because the actual art aspect is tough. But compared to something like acrylics, there's not as much things to get out. It doesn't make as much of a mess. I then did my writing, which was mostly exploring my thoughts further from my hike in the Slot Canyon. As someone with a long list of fears, I discovered that claustrophobia in a slot canyon is one of them. I am used to facing a new fear, it feels like every day. So I knew that despite my pounding heart and shaky knees, I needed to carry on. On this out and back trail, I didn't take a single photo on the way in. I just didn't feel safe to stop and consider the frames and angles and camera settings. But on the way back, when I settled into the idea of these slim canyon walls towering above us, I took lots of photos. It made me consider if creativity has a place when the space isn't safe. Not that I was in any real danger, but my perspectives of if I was safe. I spend so much of my time living in fear. It kind of made me wonder if my anxiety is the true enemy to my creativity. I then ended my night with a grounding meditation. Although I do think hiking kind of counts as mindfulness, I did want to do an actual meditation because I've really been enjoying that. I do feel as if my creativity is maybe starting to rise a bit. If anything, this challenge is giving me a little bit of purpose within our aimless wander across the country. Today is day 4 of trying to get my creativity back. I've really been enjoying kind of getting outside of my normal routine. I think that's been the biggest help so far. Right now we are just at some random state park in Utah, headed towards Colorado. We just cooked up some burgers, and now I'm going to do some journaling and definitely going to do my painting. Today is actually Halloween. I'm enjoying all of these fall colors. As you can see, there's a bunch of cottonwood trees here and they are beautiful. First, I did some journaling. Something I reflected on was how much more considerate I've been with my time on social media. I know I have an allotted hour, so I ask myself more often if what I'm consuming is worth giving up for that hour. I don't just mindlessly scroll to see how it turns out. I seek out content that I want to see or will be beneficial to me. Up next was painting my watercolor for the day. I was much more excited to paint trees than a desert landscape. The desert is beautiful and all, but my heart belongs to the forest. Day 4 of watercolors complete. That one was fun. Later that evening, we arrived to a relative's house, so the next few days are gonna look a little different. I read my 10 pages in bed. I'll tell you, it was not feeling it today. Afterwards, I ended my night with a meditation. I always sleep so much better after a meditation. And that was day 4, still going strong. For day 5, I started out with my watercolor painting, a little different scenery being in a backyard, but I enjoyed it again nonetheless. Day 5 of watercolor complete. I painted a backyard this time, so a little bit different, but I've really enjoyed painting trees instead. Next, I did a grounding meditation. It's much more enjoyable doing these meditations outside. I really enjoyed that one. That was grounding on Insight Timer. You were supposed to visualize a tree, and I really enjoy visualization meditations, I'd say. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Something I noticed too is I feel like I've gotten better at visualization ever since I started reading again. I kind of stopped during college. Now that I'm kind of reading stories again and I'm being forced to imagine them in my head, I feel like I have a better internal visualization, which in turn, I think does help my creativity overall. Maybe that's something I'll think about and look into more. Later that evening, I did my reading. I really liked that I was not leaving it just before bed this night, so I think I was really getting in the groove of my reading tonight. See, I'm already past page 100, and I don't think I would have gotten this far if it wasn't for this challenge. Like I said, I don't usually finish books like these. I love the idea of them. When I'm reading them, I'm really interested, but for some reason, it's really hard for me to just persevere, I guess. I don't know why. Even just reading there, every page I would be like, wow, that's really interesting. I really enjoyed learning that. Harder for me to just pick back up and get into than it is for, say, a fantasy book or just a story in general. And I ended my night with some journaling. This has been one of my favorite rituals. I used to be very consistent with writing for years, but kind of lost the motivation. It didn't feel as natural picking it back up. I think this is my sign to get back into it again. And that was day 5. On to day 6, I started to lose a bit of my motivation at this point. Ben and I really just enjoyed our morning. We made pancakes and breakfast sausage and then watched the Packer game. I started my tasks later that afternoon when we went and did a little exploration. Along the way, we stopped and found this beautiful viewpoint where I did my watercolor painting. It felt quite spontaneous since I really didn't know where I was going to be painting until I arrived. I had a blast with this one, honestly. When we returned home that evening, I did my grounding meditation. I then did my reading while cooking dinner. But unfortunately, I bumped a camera setting, so it's all out of focus. After we finished up dinner, I ended the night with some writing. And that was it for day 6. Day 7, the final day. We got up bright and early and headed into Arches National Park. We spent most of the day exploring the area and seeing new sights. I actually didn't really get to any of my tasks until well after 9 p.m. But that was okay because I really just spent the day, well, living. Of course, when I returned home and started my tasks so late, I was anything but excited to begin them. I painted first. This time it was a corner of a living room because it was already dark outside. Afterwards, I read. It took twice as long because my head just wasn't in it. I did a lot of reading, then rereading, and my mind just kept on wandering. Then I spent some time writing. Despite it being late in the evening, I did still enjoy this. I feel like I've kind of just gotten into a groove with my writing, so it's been a lot easier. And finally, I did a meditation, which was a great reset for just before bed. And then I was done. Am done with 7 days of trying to reset my creative brain. And now reflecting on this past week, I can see that no singular task here really helped. I mean, they all did, but not in the way that I thought they would. As the week went along, I realized that all of these activities, or lack of, had a similar impact. They were all really focused on being present. A watercolor painting to be present with my environment, a meditation to be present with my soul, reading and writing to be present in my mind, staying off of social media to be present in reality. All of it together helped me be in the moment wholeheartedly. And I didn't even realize I was missing that, but I was. And now, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with creativity? Well, it's allowed me to think and feel clearly in a way that can help me fuel my human experience into greater things. As I write this, a week later, I'm still feeling the effects. I have been living in the moment, and so many more ideas and inspirations have come flooding through me. I've been taking a lot more action, and I think that's the most important piece, because, after all, you can't be creative without creating.